All right, there you go. It is the JT Show with our friends from the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. They show up here every Monday at noontime, and it's Mississippi Outdoors Radio, which is brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. As always, and don't forget, they're here with you. The Foundation does a whole lot, archery in schools. It's one of the huge things they've done, something that's just exploded in our Mississippi schools, which is just insanity, and it's a good thing, and glad that people are taking advantage of that. One of the many things they do also bring you Mississippi Outdoors Radio. And we're ready to go. Major Chris Reed, Law Enforcement Bureau, Adam Butler here, wildlife biologist. You two boys up in the house with us today. How are you?
Good to be here, JT. First show of 2020, huh?
Major Reed?
Hey, buddy. We hadn't seen you in a few weeks.
Well,
hadn't seen you since last year.
Well, it's all a little holiday time.
Did you have a good time?
Yeah, man. I had
holidays?
the kids all at the house, just chilled out.
Good.
Man, our holidays was
Didn't do any hunting.
we all took turns being sick at my house.
Yeah,
Well,
you're getting over a little
I
crud.
thought- yeah.
Now,
I
if
had-
you're sick, I'm going to ask you to leave.
Well, hopefully it's not contagious.
If it is contagious, if you're sick, I'm going to ask you to leave. So that's just the way it works. So everybody have a good Christmas, have a good holidays?
Yeah,
everything?
it was good. It seems to go by quicker and quicker. The kids enjoyed it. Got to spend a little time outdoors.
Well, I told Adam, him and I were texting over the holidays, and I think it hit him what I was telling him is you guys this is the perfect time with your kids at their age, and soak it in. Soak it in. Now, I mean, it's cool. Mine are grown.
Oh, yeah.
And it's still fun to have them home, and it's still fun to do Christmas and all that. But when they're that little and the mystique.
How old are yours, Chris?
6 and 8.
6 and 8.
Well, it's
Yeah, mine are
perfect.
3
Oh, it was
3 and 6. So
you could see the magic in their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's fun.
just soak it in, man.
Got some hoverboards. Santa dropped off some hoverboards. The baseboards in the house are taking a beating. There's paint chips
it's like
all
the
over
old
the
Marty
place.
McFly thing, like
Yeah.
Back to the Future. Yeah.
Oh man, they're good at it, but they do badonk against the walls. But that's all right.
That little paint won't fix, so there you go. All right, what we got to do? Boy, it's a great time to be outdoors, isn't it, Adam?
It is. January. JT, I think a lot of people, do a lot of hunting and outdoor stuff up till the holidays, and then they forget about it. But January is really, pretty much every season, with the exception of the best turkey season. That's still to come. But pretty much everything else is open right now. Deer season's still going. The rut's just kicking in for a lot of the state.
Majority of it, probably.
Waterfowl's just going to get better and better. Small game, squirrels, rabbits.
Quail.
Yeah, quail.
Yeah, I heard a guy shot some quail this weekend. I mean, people are taking advantage of every opportunity out there, and with the warm weather like this weekend, you catch some fish.
You could.
Yeah, and then obviously I've been seeing a lot of pictures of some ducks. Let's talk about waterfowl. There's another survey this week.
Yeah,
right?
I was gonna try to have Houston in here this week to talk about ducks, but they're actually flying the aerial survey today and later this week. So they're doing their transects across the Delta counting ducks. And I asked Houston if he had any words of wisdom on the waterfowl front to say on here, and his take was it's just going to get better and better.
Right.
And this year we have until the 31st.
It's going to get better and better. That's
First year of that new
That's
change.
right.
And if the habitat's shaping up for, there's a lot of water around, the Mississippi River is high. And so if we can somehow, toward the end of January, get some fronts from up north to push in, it doesn't look like it's going to happen right now.
Yeah, long range.
We could set up for a 2 or 3 week blitz there at the end of January, hopefully.
That kind of happened last year. It
Yeah.
was warm up until the latter part of January, and we got a couple of big fronts and pushed the ducks down. So, but historically, January has always been our best month, and Senator Cindy Hyde Smith was able to get us to the 31st this year. So we've got a little bit longer to enjoy it.
And of course, there's some youth squirrel hunts that are going on.
Yep, we're still taking
Online.
applications for those, JT.
Yeah.
That's 7 sites statewide, and really we would like youth who don't necessarily come from a traditional hunting family, where we can expose them to kind of a new thing outdoors, and it'll be a fully guided deal with dogs and some educational stuff, and great opportunity if you've got a kid who may be interested in learning a little bit more about hunting and fishing. Deadline to apply for those is January the 22nd, and like I said, we've got 7 different sites. Those will be hosted on in the month of February across the state, so something close by for everybody.
What about CWD? In fact, I got a text line right now that says, any new CWD? There has been. And mostly North Mississippi, though, right?
Right. We're up to 37 positives overall. I can't remember.
Was it 19 when we started this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. Something like 18 or so this year.
New ones.
Most of those have come from Benton and Marshall County, which is associated with that outbreak, I guess would be the right word, outbreak in Tennessee. So we're kind of on the southern edge of that. We've not found any new ones outside of that northern zone up there. But we are, really encouraging hunters to help us out. We've got the 36 drop-off locations around the state. Right now we're on the year at about just under 4,000 samples statewide, and we really wanted to target about 10,000 this year. So we definitely need hunters' help with that, getting those samples in. I know a number of the drop-off locations are lagging a little bit from where they were last year. I think, last year it was kind of a new thing, and it was a hot topic and on everybody's mind. But it didn't go away, folks, and we still need your help as hunters and outdoorsmen to monitor.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was.
We're down on samples, aren't we, Reed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was kind of hearing in the winds, and it's still there, and it's still vitally important to get those samples in. But in the kind of the world we live in now, it's like stuff goes to the back burner so quick.
Right.
And people just tend to not think about it. It is a slight inconvenience to do things like that. But if we just kind of get along the lines of making that our new normal, where we just kind of try to help out and try to figure it out, in the long run, to get the fruits of that down the road, it's going to require people to put in some work right now.
Right.
And so we encourage folks to do that. We still got a full month. We can get those samples. We can do that easily. We don't have any doubt about it. For the hunters just to step up and drop some samples off for us at those drop-offs.
And we especially need some kind of in the southern part of the state and sort of the east central part of the state. So those counties right along the Alabama line, and then those, Hattiesburg area south, where we really need extra help. So if you're down in that part of the world and harvest a deer, go check our website out and find one of those drop-off locations. There'll be one pretty close by.
Well, and too, for the safety of you and your family, I think it's a good idea to have the deer checked. Well, the chances of you having a CWD deer are pretty slim, but there's two reasons behind it. First of all, it gives you the peace of mind knowing that the deer you're eating is disease-free, and that's good to know because the CDC suggests not eating a deer that has a CWD diagnosis. That's the Center for Disease Control. And, of course, also it gives you all the information that y'all need as to whether we have the disease that is spreading. Currently, right now, it doesn't seem to be spreading as rampantly as we thought it might be. It's still strictly in the northern part of the state. And as you said, because of an outbreak in Tennessee where they're obviously they've got it bad.
They
And
have a real problem in that area for sure.
And it continues to filter down here to us. And I have a friend of mine who's in the zone now, and he's real upset about the lack of feeding, that kind of stuff. I get all that. I know it's inconvenient, folks, but it is what we have to do at this point to try to slow some things down. So need to do that. Also, Reed, you said people need to be mindful of their image, huh?
Yeah, just remember that. Don't underestimate the opposition and the people who want to take. If you just watch the news, it seems like there's polarizations taking place, and that is also included in the hunting world. And people would love nothing more to see hunting and that pastime kind of disappear.
Well, you heard the liberals last night that they wanted to do at the Golden Globes. They wanted to do away with animal agriculture. So just think about that, and you know what you're dealing with here, folks. Is there would be nothing more they would love to do than to stop hunting and other things like that.
20 years ago, you would just kind of scoff at that. You'd laugh and you'd be like, man, whatever. But there's none of that stuff. I mean, there's numbers in that area. And so some of the most crazy, wild ideas seem to gain some traction nowadays. And so, basically like Butler was saying this morning we were talking, he has seen just corn bags and stuff all over the roads, on the highways, just stuff. Take care of what you're doing, man. That's just police yourself, police your house. I mean, you don't well, I say that most people don't, leave their house looking like that.
I tell you, folks that know me and know we do the radio show on Mondays. I've had several people this year, ask that I kind of make that public service announcement.
Yeah.
That the number of corn bags and stuff like that they've seen on the side of the road seems to be increasing, and I know a lot of people are upset about that. So hunters, mind your image. We don't need any help.
Well, unfortunately, it's a small few that are doing that.
That's right.
Somebody says, what's the deal with all the deer having blue tags on them laying dead on 55? I haven't noticed anything. I would presume that maybe that's one that have been already checked, maybe?
Yeah, it could be, JT. We, in addition to the hunter samples for CWD that we get, we're also, our staff is also sampling roadkill that they encounter across the state. So that's not part of our normal protocol, but it may be that some of our staff are using some kind of tag just to let them, as they're passing, know that, hey, that one's already been sampled. I hadn't heard that, but I'll check on it.
Is there any reason why duck season couldn't be extended a week or two into February? Hunted in March this weekend. Every bird we saw wouldn't give our spread a look. Seems to be a recurring theme every year where the ducks really don't get down here heavy until February. I can answer that. This feds.
Yep, that's the federal framework, and like we mentioned earlier, our Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith sponsored a bill this year that allowed waterfowl, that allowed the federal framework to go to the end of January in Mississippi, and Louisiana took advantage of that and extended their seasons to the end of the month. But the federal framework will not let it go into February, with the exception of the youth and.
Well, another thing is, most agriculture fields, they start pulling water and they start preparing to plant crops in February. So it's just
Someone said it looked like blue medical gloves that were tied to these deer.
It could be, JT. I'm not sure.
We'll check on that for y'all for next week.
Yeah, but I don't think our biologists are going to be leaving their gloves there on site. They'll take all that garbage with them. So I don't know.
They said it looked like it was tied to them or something. I don't know, man. I have no idea. We'll try to look into that.
Yeah, like I said, that's not. We
can't
sampling,
always give you an answer. Right,
we are sampling those deer, but that's not part of our normal protocol.
All right, New Year's resolutions. Everyone should prioritize for 2020. But what about some of the things in the outdoors you hope to accomplish in the new year? What do you think?
I think it's a good time to have some outdoor New Year's resolutions.
I've never thought of it, but I mean, I don't say that's a bad thing. I think it's a good
thing. You look
thing.
like a guy that probably doesn't have resolutions at all.
No,
you're living your best life already, huh?
No, it's like, yeah, whatever. I would. Here's one that I just thought about before the show started was to find out where Butler hunts turkeys. That would be a resolution.
I don't do very good with turkey hunting, Reed. I struggle.
But a lot of times. There's a lot of things that, when you're outdoors and you're doing this, you're doing that, you're like, I need to remember to do that next year, or need to do this before next year, or check this spot out next year. Like, now's the time to start kind of thinking, although you still have a month left of deer and duck,
Less than a month.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. But to start planning for, next year, start kind of organizing, or, whatever the case may be. Butler came up with that. I thought it was a pretty good idea today. So, if people have goals, they have, I've heard people talking about going elk hunting in the fall, or, doing that first trip, or maybe trying to do a grand slam with turkeys, or catch a limit of crappie in the afternoon and shoot a turkey in the morning. Who knows? I don't.
So JT, we've got a list of some New Year's resolutions for hunters and anglers and outdoors folks here in Mississippi to maybe think about. We'll go through those.
All right, let's go.
Well, the first one we kind of talked about was being safe. This weekend, unfortunately, we had a kind of an uptick in accidents. We had some tree stands kind of break down on some folks. So don't forget when you go hunting to make sure that your equipment is, up to speed. Your straps on your tree, make sure lifelines are the best thing you can do when you put your deer stands up. And then also identify your targets. We had an incident. The person, is going to be fine, but, when you're out there for this year, just make it an effort to refresh yourself in January to start off to be mindful of your target. So we can never stress that too much. And make sure you have safety harness on, and just check your stuff. Double check your equipment.
You know, I may have told this on here before, but my wife is a OR nurse at UMC, and she's told me, you know, even without being married to a hunter, she would know when hunting season happens because there's a particular ankle break that they usually only see during hunting season is tree stand accidents. Apparently, when you fall out of a tree stand, it's very common to break your ankle in a certain way, and all of a sudden, starting in October, they just start seeing more and more of those.
Wow.
And so she knows it must be hunting season.
Yeah.
So wear that safety harness in the lifeline for sure.
No doubt about it. What about our most important thing that we could do, and that is to get youth into the woods?
Take a kid hunting. That is definitely a resolution we should all try to do, and not just your own kid. Take somebody else's kid if they may come from a family that not necessarily a hunter. We've talked a lot on here before, JT, about declining hunter numbers and license sales, and that's all important. And it's hunting license that pays mine and Chris's salaries, and does a lot, funds a lot of the conservation work that's done by the Department of Wildlife, Fisheries and Parks and state wildlife agencies throughout the country. So that's important to us. But look, it's also about, passing on those things that give us as hunters and outdoorsmen so much joy and satisfaction. As a lifelong hunter myself, I can't imagine life without having that thing, that thing that you love so much and look forward to year round, and
what
just
would you do on the weekends?
Your life, and there, with the digital age we live in, JT, there's this whole younger generation. They need more outdoor time,
Right.
hunting or otherwise. Get away from those screens. Get out in nature.
And make it about the experience. Don't be so focused on successful harvest of an animal or a limit of ducks or a limit of fish. Just come up with some outside the box ways to play some games or build a fort, or who knows. I mean, some of these kids have never been outside or maybe never had mud on their hands. They may not know what that is. Introduce them to mud. Send them home, with a little fire lit for the next time they can go hunting, and that'll, hopefully yield some results.
Not only that, but maybe reactivating an old hunter, getting somebody back out there that hadn't done it in a while.
That's another good resolution, JT, is taking an adult hunting. We focus a lot on youth and youth recruitment, but some of the people that really look at that sort of thing find that oftentimes taking a new adult hunter can be more lasting than a kid, because obviously a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, they're limited in what they can do. You may take them hunting, but they still they can't drive. They may not.
They
have
may
want to
go again. They don't.
Right.
They can't get there.
But oftentimes you may find an adult who has that interest, or maybe didn't grow up hunting, but is kind of intrigued by it or whatever. Take them hunting, and a lot of times that'll latch in even more for them. Or likewise, maybe reactivate. That's a new term that a lot of the hunting recruitment people are saying, reactivating old hunters. So maybe a hunter who used to hunt and for whatever reason they got out of it, and maybe they're just waiting for someone to invite them. I know that for me personally, I kind of enjoy being out in the woods by myself, but I know there's a lot of people that hunting is more about kind of the camaraderie. So it may be that they would like to go, they just need a partner. And likewise, maybe take them, maybe if they're a diehard deer hunter, invite them duck hunting, maybe something they don't do. Or, if they're a really hardcore duck guy, take them turkey hunting. Take someone on a hunt for a new species that they may not normally go after.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you know what? Might make a new friend for all you know.
That's right.
Absolutely. Make a lifelong friend.
I got some great friends that our sole connection is through through hunting. So.
What about one that I really enjoy, and that's cooking wild game and sharing it with someone and making somebody go. And I don't fool people, okay? I don't do that.
Oh, you don't let them say, "How was that?"
No, I think that's crap to do that to somebody. I really do. Because I don't want to force somebody to eat something that they're not comfortable with. My mother used to do that to my sister all the time. I don't do that. Tell them what it is, and if you can try it, you can try it. And a lot of times when they try it, it freaks them out. Wow, I didn't know that was deer. It didn't taste like I.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, if you find somebody that doesn't like deer,
they hadn't had it right.
Well, they had a deer that wasn't processed or wasn't taken care of.
Right.
It maybe it's soured or it just wasn't done the right way. They didn't get it cooled off quick enough, or they'd let it, stay out too long. 9 times out of 10, if you find somebody doesn't like deer, that's usually the case. Now, some people don't like it just because of the dryness, and it doesn't have to be that way. And deer doesn't have to be tough either. There's a lot of ways you can cook it.
Well, I think it's a great resolution to take. To introduce somebody to wild game that hasn't before,
especially duck. Because duck is tough.
My little
not tough.
boy.
I mean, it's hard.
Ate duck last night for the first time, which was, God still works miracles. Obviously, because his staple crop in his diet has been Doritos up to this point.
Doritos,
and so he ate duck and wrapped in bacon. He loves bacon. We combined it. It was tender. It was good, and he gave me a thumbs up, a halfway thumbs up, and he ate 2 pieces.
How about that?
We're celebrating.
Doritos and duck, huh? Well, we'll expand some more on cooking wild game and sharing it with somebody new. Mississippi Outdoors Radio is always brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We were talking about getting good at cooking wild game and sharing it with somebody new. A lot of fun.
I want to make a plug or two before we move from that one.
Yeah.
Years ago, the thing with wild game was just put it in like cream of mushroom soup and throw it in the crock pot, and that was it. That's what you did. Pretty much that was the blanket recipe for any wild game. Well, the listeners just missed out because we just shared a bunch of stuff in the break here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna plug a couple of things though. That there's some really great resources out there now for wild game cookery. If the listeners haven't checked it out, Hank Shaw, a guy, he's a chef. He's out west somewhere, but he's got several books. Hunter, Angler, Gardener, Cook is one of them. He's got a website, and it's got hundreds of different recipes on there of wild game, of deer, duck, game birds,
squirrel,
turkeys, whatever. Yeah, just everything. So if you've never checked that out, do that because I use that all the time. For wild game stuff. Steve Ranella of the Meat Eater Show, he's got a lot of really good wild game recipes, and I mean, there's a ton of others. So there's no excuse for serving bad game.
Well, you
nowadays.
and I, we were just talking about. You and I were in the break. We were all talking about cooking. All 3 of us were doing it.
You got me hungry talking about some duck gumbo.
Making duck gumbo and start with the whole ducks on the smoker. Duck dressing. Yeah, you could do those different types of things.
But to me, it does a couple of things. I mean, one, obviously, you're using the resource, but if you introduce somebody new to it, you've made an advocate for hunting and fishing that may
they want to know, how do I get some more of this?
Right.
Go hunting.
It kind of connects the meal with the whole outdoor experience, which is a really cool thing.
And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I mean, if you have some really good deer smoked sausage, you'll hook somebody right there there's no tomorrow. Because once they get a hold of that, they go, man, I want some more of that. Well, you're going to have to go to the woods, pal. They don't sell it at the Piggly Wiggly. No. I mean, it's just what it is. And it's out there for you. So let's go to it. Learn more about the life of your favorite game animal. Another one.
So this, to me, it's sort of my personal life and professional life get so intertwined. But learning more about the animals that you're interested in hunting, just what makes them tick. It'll make you a better hunter. It'll make you respect them a lot more, I think. And, there's a lot of great resources out there to do that. If you're a deer hunter, the Quality Deer Management Association has deer stewardship courses, so you can take that and you can learn a lot more about deer biology and deer management. We frequently partner with Mississippi State Extension to host workshops on different species. We've got the pond management series. We do a game bird series usually in the springtime. And then there's all kind of different information out there on the internet, podcasts, books. But maybe make that if you're a hunter, even if you've hunted deer, turkeys, ducks, whatever, all your life, make that a resolution to learn a little bit more about your favorite critter this year. I think you'll come to appreciate the hunt even more.
Mm-hmm. And you can do that. They're certainly out there. What else you got?
Well, you could spend some more time scouting because I think I fall in this category. You find a good spot and you maybe go here or there and you kind of put that off to the back burner. You think of preseason scouting and then you kind of maybe forget about it. Making an effort this coming year to constantly be moving and looking around and scouting and doing it during the hunt, maybe on the way out, kind of check out the area and see, because deer habits are going to change as the season progresses, or waterfowl habits are going to change, or turkey habits are going to change. I see you had put that.
Yeah. Don't just do it before the season,
Yeah.
do it after the season too. Like especially,
Coming up.
February is a great time to
Yeah.
scout for deer because they're still in that winter pattern that you're
They
gonna be
are,
hunting them
and there's
in
no
next year.
foliage on the trees, and it's still wintertime, and you can find those trails. You're not going to mess up your hunt because the season's over. You can find trails, you can find rub lines, bedding areas. You can kind of go in there and find out that stuff and say, oh, it makes a little sense now why I never saw that deer.
Yeah. So we'll probably talk about this more as we get closer to turkey season. But we have the agency has our spring gobbler hunting survey, which is basically a voluntary survey that turkey hunters across the state record what they're seeing and hearing, which helps us get more information on turkey populations. The last several years, we've been asking hunters different things about their tactics and their behaviors and their habits while they're out in the woods. Do you call a lot? Do you call a little? Do you run and gun? Do you sit and wait? That kind of thing. One of the things we've asked is how much emphasis do you put on scouting? Do you consider scouting to be really important, or do you not really do it? Hey, I already know where the turkeys are going to be, and I just go. What's neat about it is we can take people's responses and actually correlate it back to their outcomes, because we've got all this information of what they're seeing and hearing and harvesting. And come to find out, the better turkey hunters spend a significant more time scouting than just the average turkey hunter. So if you're a turkey hunter, really any hunter, but it goes to show that extra boot leather in the woods looking around can pay dividends and make you more successful.
What are you looking for?
Listening, looking, scratching, reading. Turkey sign. Come on, man.
Trying to pull some teeth here.
What about organizations, conservation organizations? How about that?
Yeah, I would highly encourage everybody to make a New Year's resolution to get either involved or more involved with a conservation organization of your choice. There's a lot of different ones out there. Being a turkey guy myself, the National Wild Turkey Federation does a lot of good things here in the state. We partner with them on a lot of projects. If you're into deer, there's Quality Deer Management Association. There's
Whitetails Unlimited.
Whitetails Unlimited. There's Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl. There's all sorts of different organizations that are local and nationwide in their scope.
Their exclusive effort is geared right toward whatever your preference is.
Right.
So you
right.
can actually have a hand in that conservation, and I know many folks who serve on those type boards, and it gives you a voice if you have these good ideas or you hear something you want to improve the opportunities there. Just step out of your comfort zone a little bit.
I think a lot of those organizations oftentimes one of the criticisms that they hear from their members is that they're not doing enough locally. But it's really about being charitable and putting your time and talents to good use to a bigger purpose, And so all of them do good work, no matter what your personal passion is in terms of outdoors. I'm sure there's a group out there for you. And the other good thing is not only are you helping the resource and you're helping conservation, but you also make a lot of really good friends in that. Maybe people that you already knew locally, or maybe people you didn't know, but you're going to share that common bond of whatever it is, whether it's turkeys or ducks, or there's even groups that advocate for public land hunting access and stuff like that. So I would say in this new year, take some time to find one of those groups and dive in deep.
No doubt about that. Let's see. Back to the C Spire text line here. Let's get into it. I attended a deer short course seminar in Starkville presented by the department in the 80s. Super class to attend. What were the chances of happening again, especially since the date has changed along with the hunters?
Yeah, they we still do those. I don't know that we've done one in the last year or so, but Mississippi State, the Deer Lab up there is nationally recognized for deer research, and we have a mutually beneficial relationship with Dr. Damaris and Dr. Bronson up there at State. And I know that over the last several years they've been doing a deer steward course, usually have it in the summertime, I believe. I don't know what the plans are for this year, but it may be time to look at that, and it may be something we can talk about on a future episode. But those are really in high demand. I think some of the more recent ones they've had over the last couple of years, it's not uncommon to have well over 100 folks in one of those workshops. So a lot of good information shared there.
There's no doubt about that. Then somebody said that I need to share one of my recipes with y'all for the deer Swiss steak. Maybe we can do that here in a minute. Maybe you can do a recipe, and I do a recipe. We were talking about that.
Talking about like a deer Philly cheesesteak?
No. It's simple. I'll tell you about it when we come back. We'll talk about Mississippi Outdoors TV, and we can do that here in just a second. It's really good stuff, and we'll do that. And we're looking forward to that. We'll continue with more Mississippi Outdoors Radio. David said, I caught the tail end of the deer roadkill and blue gloves. He said there's one on Highway 278 going to Oxford from Batesville with blue marking tape on it today. So y'all definitely got to look into that when you get back to the department. Let us know what's going on next week. We are here with you, hanging out, Mississippi Outdoors Radio. It is a beautiful day outside. Absolutely gorgeous day the Lord's made out there. Y'all enjoy it. And we'll continue and wrap it up next. Hang on. Back again at Mississippi Outdoors Radio, always brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. And they not only bring you Mississippi Outdoors Radio, they do Mississippi Outdoors TV, too, and it's got kicking off a new season, aren't they?
We are, JT. You know, we've been having reruns here for, I guess, a good chunk of December, but we're going to have some new episodes starting last week, but continuing on. This week, have two shows, 2 episodes. The first will be an awesome squirrel hunt with dogs in Madison County. So that's really cool, some small game stuff. And then, you ready for this, Reed? We're going to have a look at MDWFP's Wild Turkey Management and Research Program. We actually spent a couple of years putting this thing together.
A couple of years?
It took a while. It took a while to get enough footage.
How long was the show? Like an hour?
The show's only 12 minutes, but you know we show some. We
Are you
catching
in it?
some turkeys? I may be in it. I may or may not be in it. Catching some turkeys, putting some radio transmitters on them, a little habitat work.
Have you ever harvested a turkey with a radio transmitter?
I have not, but some folks did harvest some of our radio tag turkeys.
That'd be neat.
So it'll be kind of a look at all that's going on with turkey management and research in the state, and that's going to air Thursday night at 7:30 on MPB. And if you miss it then, you can see it on Saturdays at 5:30. And then all of our shows will be posted on MDWFP.com and the Facebook page and the YouTube page and all that stuff.
All right, give me a quick turkey recipe.
All right, I'll tell you one that I like, JT, and I mentioned Hank Shaw in that hunter gatherer cook.
He said, "Quick,
website.
Butler, come on,
turkey
man."
carnitas. So you make it with the thighs and the legs. You know, a lot of people don't like that because it's tough.
Right.
But you cook it down and then you shred it all up and then kind of throw it in a skillet and saute it more or less
Spice it up like
in bacon.
Mexican type.
And spice it up like Mexican stuff, and it turns out really good.
Make
you serve it on
tacos?
tacos with it, and it's really good. It's a good way to use that dark meat part of the turkey that's kind of tough and hard to do something else with.
Cook it
Turkey
down.
Carnitas.
Well,
Well,
I'll
give
share
me
one
one.
that we had this weekend. It was fried duck.
Yeah.
People will be like, "Throw it away." No, man. You take the breast, and we soaked it in some water and vinegar, and just for like 6 hours.
Right.
I mean, from field to table.
Pull a little of the gunk out of it.
And we thinly sliced it and beat it up with a meat hammer, make it real tender. Milk, egg wash, throw it in some flour, put it in some grease, and watch
Dang
out.
it, boy.
Folks will be tackling you coming to get it.
I've never had fried duck. I've never thought about
It
doing
was
that.
fine.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mallard duck.
Just little bite-sized pieces, huh?
Well, they were, you remember the steak fingers that you had in
Yeah.
elementary school?
My favorite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads me to the next thing. It'd probably be good paired up with some mashed potatoes, that fried duck.
No doubt about it. The guy was telling me to tell you about that little Swiss steak recipe I do. I just take deer meat and fry it, like some backstrap. Flour it, fry it, set it to the side, drain your grease off, start making a gravy, browning your flour there, cooking it down a little bit. And then I throw a can of Rotel tomatoes in there, a little bit of beef broth, get that where it's getting a little bit happy, and then I'll take a frozen bag of the 3-pepper blend, the onions and peppers, put in there. Let that kind of cook down. You don't have to cook it down much, but
Right.
kind of get it where you got nice little gravy there. And pour it in a crock pot, put the deer meat in it, and cover it some more with the rest of it, and just let it cook and chill out. And it's just kind of like deer with tomato gravy, but it's ready right there for you. And then it's got the kick of the onions and the Rotel, and put it on some rice. It's pretty good. So something
sounds
to
excellent.
try. Yeah, well, it's good because
That's it's something different.
Yeah, it's
We
different.
get so stuck in the rut of
Fried deer meat and brown gravy
yeah.
and that. Yeah, it's a little bit different. But I tell you, the cool part about that is you can make it up right after lunch, put it in the crock pot, put it on low, and then you can go hunting.
Oh,
And
have something waiting on you when you get back.
Yeah, and you get back, it's ready to go, and that way, if you want to, sit by the campfire and do whatever, or if you want, you don't have to cook, you can just do whatever. So
We need to do like a whole episode on wild game cooking or something. I think we can have fun with that.
We have to bring something in here to eat.
Well,
Yeah, that may be the best part
true.
right there.
That would be true. That would be true. I had Chad on not too long ago. We were talking about that.
Saw that.
just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
And he's an excellent cook when it comes to
And
that.
he was talking about canned deer meat.
Sure
Is that
did.
right? Yeah.
Sure did. Yeah, he did, and he can do it. I've had it, and it's real. In fact, we tweeted out the recipe. It's really pretty good, and it's ready good. Really, really good. No, the deer meat doesn't get overcooked. It just gets mo tender. It just makes it even better. Mo tender. All right, boys. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Yeah, same to you, JT.
Major Reed, thank you for being here. Adam Butler, thank you. Appreciate you being here as well. And I imagine we'll be talking about ducks next week, won't we?
It's that time. It's only going to get better.
Good chance that's what we're going to be doing, huh? All right, boys, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking time, and look forward to a brand new year.
Yeah.
And more Mississippi Outdoors Radio. As always, brought to you by the Foundation for Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. Foundation does so much, and we appreciate everything that they do to keep this little radio show going for you each and every Monday at noon.